Hello. Now, I'd like to demonstrate about the installation of RHEL6, the Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6 on VMware Workstation 9. So, if you want to install any operating system here on VMware 9 here, first you need to create a new virtual machine here. So, for that, click on Create New Virtual Machine. I'm using VMware Workstation 9 for that one here. And what type of configuration you like to go for? So we had two different types of configurations. One is called as typical and second one is called advanced here. So I'll go with the typical option because it can configure very easily over here. So typical, next here. When I go for here, the install I can install if I'm trying to install from my OS DVD, the physical DVD drive. So I need to install the OS DVD and I can select this option install from disk here. But if you want to try to install from your operating system, that is ISO file, we can link up here. But I don't want to link up here. Why? Because if you select this option here, it will start installation. It will start installation the operating system without any partitionings here. Means by default partition will be selected, and with the help of the default partition only the installation will be created here. But I like to install the operating system with my predefined settings here. So for that I like to install the operating system data. The next, and the version of the operating system I'm trying to install is Linux, that is that to RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6 here. Then I like to give the name to the virtual machine as Red Hat 3, and I like to do my entire installation into one of your system here. For example, I like to store my entire virtual machines in my D drive. So I'll select the drive computer. I'll select the drive. Okay. Then next. So I'm storing my entire virtual machines in my D drive here. Next, there's already some virtual machines over there in the particular drive. So that's why it's showing a warning message. No problem. Continue. Then still, it's asking how much limited space do you require here. Especially if you have 5 GB of space, that's sufficient for the installation here. But I like to give some more elaborate options over here. That's why I selected 40 GB of hard disk space. I like to store the single virtual disk as a single file. Next, and finish here. So at present what happens here is the only virtual machine parameters has been set up here, but no installation has been done. But if you want to start the installation here, so we need to set the parameters here. For example, here my RAM size I'm using is 2 GB, one processor is dedicated, the hard disk is 4 GB here. But for the installation, we need to insert the OS DVD here. So I'll to connect the OS DVD, the CD DVD here. Within these parameters here, like a CD DVD here, auto detect here, I use this use ISO image file. So by default my image file is in my E drive. OS images RHEL6.nrg file. Okay, it's a new group of file. Okay, then I'll simply power on this virtual machine here. So when you power on this virtual machine here, it will show you all the options one by one and where you can start installation here. So to start with initially here, so first we can select this first option, install or upgrade an existing system here. Suppose if your operating system is corrupted, you want to go with the rescue of installation here, then you can go with rescue of installation also. But I have a fresh installation, that a basic installation, that I'm going for install or upgrade an existing system here. When I go for this one here, you can see to my default Linux for the RHEL6 VM Linux, LINUZ here. And when I try to installation here, initially first it will verify whether all your hardware device is good working condition or not here. Then later we can start the installation here. So it will test automatically whether hardware is compatible or not here. So when every hard disk is compatible, when a hard disk is compatible is verified here. So it first asks you to set an option. Do you want to test the OS media or not here? I know that my OS media is in good working condition here, so I'll simply skip this. Okay, if you click on OK here, it will take approximately like a 5 or 10 minutes just to make that process. Okay, to test that media take approximately 5 to 10 minutes here. But when I skip, it directly proceeds with the installation of your RHEL6 here. Okay, now you can see it here. We are trying to install Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6. Next. Now select what kind of language you like to use. Go for. So we'll go for basic English language. Next. And select what the appropriate keyboard language, that is US English. Next. Then you can see here we have two options here. One is a basic storage device, second a specialized storage device. If you're trying to install operating system into your hard disk which is present in your system disk here, then you can go for basic storage device. But if you try to do the installation which is a specialized storage boxes, for example the disk is in the storage box, and if you want to install the operating system in the disk which is in the storage box, then you can go for specialized storage device here. But I like to install the operating system, the disk which is present in my system, which is connected to my system here. So I'll go for a basic storage device. Next, there's a small bug over here. Then you can see it here. Name this computer, the host name. See, each and every system is identified with two things. One is the host name, and second one is the IP address. Where host name is represented in the format of FQDN, where FQDN means fully qualified domain name. Its formula is identified like this. For example, the host name Red Hat 3 and the domain name Linux.com. My host name is Red Hat 3 and my domain name is Linux.com. So my fully qualified domain name is redhat3.linux.com. This is to specify the host name. And for every system here, to identify that, we need to configure an IP address here. So to assign an IP address, click on configure network here. When you click on configure network, this is especially used to assign the IP address. Every NSC card in Unix is identified with this card name, that is ETH0. Means we generally can represent as ETH0. So when you click on add, to this we can assign an IP address here. So if you want to assign an IP address, we'll select the type of version of IP address is IP version 4, and I like to assign the IP address manually. So I select this manually and click on add to assign the IP address. So 192.168.0. for example 3. The class of IP address I'm using is 192.0.3. There is a class C of IP address here. The subnet mask is n.n.n.s. So the subnet mask is 255.255.0. So the net mask value becomes 24. Apply, close. In this we can give a lot of parameters here. As we are going with the basic installation, I give a space for only few instructions only here. So when you click on next here, it's asking for the continent and country region here. So select the country region as Asia, Calcutta, the nearest city. Next, it's asking for the password here. So I'll specify the password as like this: capital R KS zone 123, as capital R KS zone 123, RKS zone 123. Why? Because when you try to specify the password, it asks you the capital letters and it should have some numeric characters, all these kind of things. So for that I have specified all these parameters. Then click on next. Now you can see here we have few parameters over here. That is, what type of installation you like to use. For example, do you want to use all the space on your hard disk? You can see from pictorial representation. It removes all the partition selected drives. Everything is removed and you do a fresh installation. The second thing is replace the existing Linux here. For example, your hard disk already has a Linux operating system in between. If you want to remove that Linux option, you go for fresh installation. Or you have a single partition, or to reduce a single partition, create some empty space and do the instruction of the empty space. Or do you want to use the entire free space on the hard disk? What we manually suggest is create custom layout here. When you create a custom layout here, we can select what the things you keep it out and what the things what you remove. You can do it manually over there. So you can see my hard disk space is 40 GB here. I select this 40 GB of hard disk space here and I like to create a partitions here. So we click on create to specify a partition. So create. So I'll specify the mount point for this one. So I'll be specifying few parameters over here. For example, root here. Root is similar to C drive in Windows, where everything is stored on the C drive. For this, a minimum approximately I'll get as approximately 15 GB of space here. Why? Because everything is under root only here. If especially for the installation of this OS here, if you have two partitions sufficient, one is root, second one is swap. If you have specified these two partitions sufficient for installation here, but I like to elaborate few other options that is required for the installation here. That is root. Then along with the root here, we require this next parameter that is called as nothing but your boot. So root, and second one is a boot here. A 200 MB space is sufficient for this one here. Then click on OK. Then again create. Yes, I like to create one standard partition. Now here I like to go for this one more thing, that is /home. /home is the user home directory of the normal users here. So all the files created by normal users stored under /home. That's I'll give approximately like a 2 GB of space. Okay. Then I'll go for create. Then after /home, I'll go with the /usr. /usr is called a Unix system resource which consists of a non-executable files, which is nothing but a program files in Windows here. So I'll give approximately 4 GB of space here. Okay. Then I like to create a new partition here. So create one more partition. After /usr, we have /var. /var is variant. It consists of all the log messages here. So what are the log messages have been recorded here? All these log messages are stored at this location. Click on OK. Then along with all these partitions here, we require one specialized partition, that is a swap here. swap. The swap memory is also called as virtual memory, which used to eliminate the load in the physical RAM. So when you go for swap memory here, for swap memory, we can give the double the size of a physical RAM. For example, swap memory is 4 GB. The physical RAM is 2 GB. The swap can be up to 4 GB here. But generally, applying it, my RAM is 2 GB. I'm applying 3 GB of swap. In future, if you want, you can increase over that. And keep one thing in mind, all these partitions, root, var, USR, home, all this cannot be increased in future. Only one is possible, that is a swap here. So all these remaining, all the partitions have physical restrictions here. So after specifying all these partitions, see here still how much 10 GB of space is left out for me, which is used for accessing the data. When you click on next, proceed, format. Now when you click on format here and write changes to the disk, all the specified partitions will be formatted one by one. You can see it here. It's formatting all the partitions here. For example, the type of partition it's using is ext4, called as extended file system 4. Especially when you go for RHEL6 here, RHEL6 supports three types of file systems. Three types of, actually supports ext, extended file system. But within this ext, it supports three different versions. That is ext2, ext3 and ext4. And each and every file system has its own specifications for that here. But we have specified them as ext4 as the most advanced option here. Click on next. Now after specifying all the parameters one by one, when you click on next here, we have specified all minimum things, but for the installation purpose, what you require is we require all the packages here. So this is a window where you can select all the packages. When you click on this customize later here, it gets installed with the minimal packages here. But if you want to install all the packages you require, then you can go for this customize now. When you click on customize now and next here, we can select all the packages which we require here. For example, for base system, the package required is backup client, compatibility libraries. So what are the packages you require? You can select according to your convenience here. As you get working on this one, as you get used to this environment in which you're working here, you'll come to know what are the packages required. Based on that, you can. Not only it's not mandatory that you need to select the package now. Later on, we can install these packages manually here. For that, we have some server configurations like RPM as well as your YUM. RPM is called Red Hat Package Management, as well as YUM, Yellow Dog Update Modifier, which used to resolve the packages automatically. Okay, so I've selected few services here, but generally what I suggest you is select all the options which is required for this desktop here. So when you select desktop here, select all the options here, desktop, debugging, your fonts, general purpose, everything here. And even for applications also, because few applications like an internet browser is sufficient over here. So select few packages here. When you click on next here, it identifies what type of packages you have selected here, everything, and based on this, it will form a list of the packages and will start installation. And depending on the number of packages you have selected here, the amount of time it takes for installation here. Okay. See, starting installation process. In a matter of a minute or two, it will display that how many packages installing into your system here. Maybe approximately, according to my experience, you may be selected like a 1200 package or so. And to install the 1200 packages takes approximately 20-25 minutes. That really depends on your processing capability. What kind of processor do you have? What speed of your processor is? How much RAM is allocated here? If you have good processing capability, then it gets quickly. Okay. Now when you start installing all these packages here after 20-25 minutes here, it will ask you to reboot the system here. And when you reboot the system, it will ask you to specify a few minimum things, that whatever you want to give for the license agreements, all these kind of things here. After specifying all these things here, if you want to, you can log in the system by login name and password here. And you need to select the option as other user and give the login name as root and the password which you specified during the installation here. So if you specify all these, then your installation becomes fine here. So by now, I'll stop this.